Guys, I've got a special one for you today. Today's the Sunday sit down. Chris Hickson with QBIQ. I've got Evan Conley from Kell High School. Big time Georgia football and a big time player. Evan, what's up, brother?
How's it going, Chris?
It's going good, man. He's sitting down with Peyton Manikin and I, and we're going to get in on Evan Conley and all the yards you've thrown for, all the rushing yards you have. This guy's 4'6". He's a beast in the weight room. He's a beast out on the field throwing, just wants to work hard. But first we got a question. I'm going to give you a hot seat question. You got 10 seconds to tell me all the schools that offered you. 1, 2, 3, go.
Well, we'll start with App State. Schools like Kent State, South Alabama, had the Ivy Leagues like Cornell and Dartmouth and Columbia. Had some other schools like Samford and
3 seconds
Richmond,
left.
UT Chattanooga.
Dude, 10 seconds to name all the schools that offered you. Most guys wouldn't even have 1 second need to talk about the schools that offered him. But I'll tell you right now, this guy's been offered by 22, 26, how many schools?
I think 27.
27 schools offered this guy. And if you were 6'4", probably have about 100 schools. Because the way this guy throws, the way that he runs, watch his film. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. The ball signature on that thing smoking and the accuracy, everything about what he does is just, it's a great result of a lot of resume, a lot of work that's been put in reps-wise. So let's talk a little bit about, okay, you've been starting since you were a freshman.
Yeah.
What school were you at?
I was at Pope my first 2 years.
Didn't exactly run the offense that you'd like, right? And then you had a great opportunity to go where?
To go to Kell, which is actually where I grew up. So it was cool to go back and play with kids I grew up with, playing with again. So.
That's awesome. That's got to make you feel good because, I mean, you guys are a great team. And your coach, talk a little bit about Brett Sloan.
Well, Coach Sloan, he's an awesome guy. He's a quarterback. He started out as a quarterback's coach. So I have a really close relationship with him because he's not just my head coach, he's my position coach. So I spent a lot of time with him and just seeing the way he works to get the offense and how much time he spends preparing our offensive game plan. It's awesome to see.
So last question before we jump in on some QBIQ. I got a question for you about, now, okay, so Coach Sloan, he prepares you like crazy, right? But at the same time, he also cares about where you're going. And we talked about the scholarships. Where did you decide to go?
Appalachian State.
How good is Appalachian State?
Appalachian State's pretty stinking good. They started the season, had that overtime game against Penn State, and I really don't think that was a fluke by Penn State. I think App State's really that good. I mean, their closest game after that was 52-7. So in the last few weeks, it's been their closest game. So
you're coming in. They're expecting a lot of big things out of you. I've heard a lot of good word. These colleges love these guys, and App State they're so excited to have this guy because if you watch his film, you'll understand how powerful of a player he is. Now, I know Peyton Manning has a question. He's raising his hand a little bit. So Peyton Manning wants to know, when we do QBIQ game grades, because we do that, we've been doing it for a couple of years, what does that do for you?
Well, I mean, it gives another set of eyes and another and a higher level of eyes to critique me, because the way, how hard I am. I'm pretty hard on myself, but just how nitpicky you are about things and keeping me straight on. Just because I completed the ball doesn't mean that it was as good of a play as it could have been, and keeping things that the expectation is at the highest level, that it's not just, we're not just stuck on, all right, what can we do in a high school level? It's, all right, how is this going to transition for you when you go to the next level, and so on and so on. So
that's exactly right. And having that extra set of eyes, maybe a set of eyes that's been at certain levels that understands certain things, and just, mainly from a footwork timing standpoint, and a setup, and even recognizing, issues with certain routes that are designed a little bit or ran a little wrong. And it's great to work with you because coachability-wise, you love to be coached, one, and you love to better yourself. Your progressive mindset is unbelievable. And when we talk QBIQ, that's all your standpoint is, I want to get better. I want to make sure I'm understanding mentally when I can the earliest bit of information that's important to help me make a decision, which is QBIQ. That's 100%, and that's why it works for all the teams, is because at the earliest standpoint, you should have been thinking this.
Right.
You know, obviously your footwork is usually pristine. It's perfect. And those time up perfectly. Sometimes it's a thought process, pre-snap to post-snap, where we could have picked up some detail that we talk about. Okay, well, talk to me a little bit about, are you one of those guys as soon as you, let's talk about your year this year. You're going to be going to Appalachian in January, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but before you get there, how deep are you guys going to go in the playoffs?
I think we can go pretty deep. I think we got a really, really talented team. We're pretty young, so we continue to get better every single week. I think we have a potential to go very deep in the playoffs. It just depends on how much we really decide that we want to buy in and how much. Because at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. Because a lot of teams have a lot of talent, especially when you get in the playoffs. It just comes down to teams that want it more and decide that they don't want to be done playing.
So when you talk about guys buying in and doing the right thing on certain plays, Peyton Mannequin wants to know, okay? When you and I talk about certain routes and when guys should be recognizing certain things and when to expect certain voids or windows, you can translate some of the information that we talk about into those practice, hey, you should have ran it like that. How often do you find yourself giving detail, QBIQ detail, to your wide receiver?
Stuff like that really comes into play almost every single day because, I spend extra time with my receivers all the time. And it's about, I work with them because our receiver group is a young group. And I spent a lot of time in the off season. We'd stay after summer workouts, and then we'll do extra stuff during practice after practice and stuff like that. So and just getting to talk with them because so much of the game is a mental game, and you don't always have to have the best athletes if you can all be at a higher mental level. So.
Some of the questions, I know a lot of parents out there, players out there that have to go through the nasty recruiting process. That, when's my first offer going to come? When that process is somewhat questionable because nobody really knows what it's like until you go through it until after it's done. Then you have a definite perspective. For you, what was that like?
Well, for me, I went through all the things that you just talked about. I was sitting there and I was seeing guys get offered. I was like, man, I am better than that kid. Why are they offering him and not me? And after that first offer came in, more and more came in, and a big part of it was obviously getting out and seeing as many schools as I could. But for me, a place that I had always, kind of had circled as a place I was trying to get offered from was Appalachian State. And so when they offered, I spent some time. I had a pretty good phone call with Chris after they offered me, talking about them. I went out, a lot of prayer and a lot of talk with my family. I actually went up, hiked up Kennesaw Mountain, spent some time sitting up there thinking about it the day that I decided to commit. And you learn a lot because you learn that the whole college football is a business, and you find that out pretty fast. Right. And it's tough figuring out, what is sincere from certain coaches and what is just fluff and that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, I felt like I made a choice that I'm going to enjoy where I'm at. I'm going to be a part of a great tradition, a great winning tradition, and a place where I feel like I fit in pretty well academically as well. So,
well, we think the same thing, that you made a great decision, and something you mentioned. You definitely want somebody in your corner that has been through the process. I know I enjoy helping you out when I can and talking to you about this is the way I would perceive that. So I would give the same advice to anybody out there. Get somebody in your corner that has helped. Or does it as a profession, or can at least talk to you exactly what's happening, give you some sense of confidence in the process. So, basically to finish things up, I'm going to just tell you that for the years that we've been working together, biomechanically, footwork-wise, mentally, QBIQ, all the stuff that you put together, I'm in astonishment on how hard you work, how coachable you are, what type of player, and your good-heartedness, your keeping everybody focused to work harder and keep their eye on the ball. Appalachian State is going to be lucky to have this guy right here. Evan, thanks for stopping by, brother.
Appreciate it, Chris.
Yes, sir.